Hello, everyone. We're here for the second to last scenario, maybe, of the Forgotten Age, and it's the Depth of Yoth. It's a really good one. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm here, as always, with Superfeng99. Are you excited to talk about this one?
Absolutely, this is a banger of a scenario.
One of my top five, maybe even like the top one or two, if I really had to think about it. It's a great scenario, well constructed, really, really fun to play, and some neat design elements that we're going to talk about. So let's get into it right away with the introduction to the scenario.
Yeah. All right. So we are starting off. We have just untransformed from being a Yithians. We're back, and we are going into Yoth. We are descending, as it were. Um. So some first few things we need to do. We need to determine what Ishaka's doing. So if we are forging our own path, meaning we don't like Ishaka or Alejandro, then um, she's gonna say this, and then she just throws herself off the edge. Um, Ishaka is set against us, and we'll get an Elder Thing token. So that's another one for that route. Otherwise, if Ishtaka's faith is restored, meaning that we've gone full Ishtaka, we talked to her in the woods, and uh, what did we do? We rescued her. Is that
We had
no?
to
The oh,
we had to impress her, right?
yeah. So I mean, the other cultist that we got was from somewhere, but yes, then we also needed to get at least three paths known in the Boundary Beyond.
Hmm.
I forgot where the other cultist was from, but whatever. Oh, we listened to her when she talked to us before Threads of Fate.
That's
That's
right.
right. Um, if all that has happened and her faith is restored, nothing happens. She's joining us down into the Descent to Yoth. Otherwise, we did not impress her enough. She will be set against us, and she's removed from our decks. Importantly, though, if we have the relic still, we have the opportunity to do a little bit of fighting with her. If we don't have a pocket knife, then she will take the relic from us. Otherwise, she is just gonna she's gonna continue down on her own. So this is the other use for the pocket knife defending against Ichitaka's theft.
So this is only if we're not forging our own path, right? And we're not on her side.
Correct. If we are forging our own path, then we will get to keep the Relic of Ages.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think the setup for this one is definitely one of the coolest ever. You'll see here that there's this little chart, or not a chart, but a list of things to check based on how many Yig's Fury that we have. So, if you have 0, you remove Yig and each copy of Pit Warden from the gathered encounter sets. Yig is in this scenario. Oh God, we're not even at the finale yet.
Has that
Have
ever
you
happened
ever
to you?
gotten?
No.
I've never got here with 0.
No. I mean, you have to be very, very careful or deliberate, I think, to not get any Yig's Fury at
Yeah,
this point.
you have to like forego like 6 experience to not get
Hmm.
any Yig's Fury. So I know, yeah, normally don't do that.
Okay.
Which is also why I rarely ever get 1 to 5 tally marks, aka no changes are made. Um, anyway, for each next 5 tally marks, 6 to 10, 11 to 14, 15. Actually, no, it's not 5. It's just it gets smaller. 6 to 10, 11 to 14, 15 to 17, 18 to 20, or 20 or more. You're going to remove agendas from the game, and thus the game will begin at later and later agendas up until you starting the game at agenda 6A. And you'll notice there are 7 agendas in this deck.
So did
So,
you blow up the temple?
yeah, if you
If
did, then you might
hmm.
be in trouble.
Yeah, this is the first payoff for collecting the number of Yig's Fury in your campaign log. So this is the first time you ever check it. You'll check it one more time, but this is basically
So,
the most you'll actually have to worry about it.
yes, but remember that you do check them intermittently during the scenarios to check what happens with the snake. What's their name again? um,
Oh, the Brood of Yiggs.
yeah, no, the big snake.
Oh, the Harbinger. Yes,
Yeah, because sometimes they'll be like, if there's 8 or more, then they're going to spawn at the lead investigator, otherwise farthest from all investigators, for
that is
example.
true. That is very true.
Yes. But this is the main payoff for Yeg's Fury, for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, once we've done that, we will build the locations and the exploration deck. So we will set the 10 single sided locations aside. You draw one of them at random, other than the steps of Yoth. So here's the steps of Yoth. And this is kind of like where we need to go at the end of the act. And so we're going to start with a random one in play. I'm just going to click the setup button.
Here it is.
So in this case, we started with the City of Serpents. You'll also note that what it did was it took 4 more locations, shuffled them together with the Steps of Yoth to produce our exploration deck. The other ones are going to be set aside for now. Let's see. What else happens? Harbinger's still alive. We'll have the Harbinger of Valusia come back. Importantly, if you start at Agenda 5A or 6A, aka you had 18 or more tally marks, the Harbinger is going to begin in the Pursuit area. Ooh, that's a new thing. I guess we'll discuss that when we get to that. Lastly, of course, if we have to set Yig aside out of play, and if we are in Agenda 6A, Yig will begin in the Pursuit area as well. Oh god, that seems ominous. All right, well, we also start by placing a resource token on the scenario reference card under current depth. We are starting at depth level 1. Because the goal of the scenario is to get deeper and deeper into Yoth. So the goal of the scenario, actually, I guess let's just do this right now, actually. So as an action, if there are no clues left on your location, aka the action from Heart of the Elders Part 2, you can explore. You'll also note there are no encounter cards in the exploration deck. Thank goodness.
Yay.
It's just locations. Yay. Albeit sometimes I have missed. I feel like I've missed more often than not.
Yeah, it does happen.
It does happen. Anyway, ultimately, you need to get to the Steps of Yoth and possess at least 3 per investigator clues. Importantly, it also says you don't spend them, which we'll get to in a second. And also make sure that everyone's there, because you will descend towards Yoth. You will add a resource to the current depth level, and if you are at level 5 or more, you will succeed. You need to get to depth level 5 in order to succeed this scenario.
So basically, you do this 4 times with a little asterisk that we'll talk about in a second.
Correct. So in order to reset, you're basically going back to the beginning of the scenario, except that you have more resources on the current depth level, with one exception. So first, it says, if everyone is not the Steps of Yoth is going to die. Makes sense. Move each enemy in play to the Pursuit area. Ah, okay. Remove all Doom from locations. Set aside all the locations. And then restart the thing. So you draw a random set aside, other than the Steps of Yoth, put it into play, shuffle the Steps of Yoth, and then 4 other random set aside locations. That includes the 4 that were put in this one, and also the 5 that were set aside previously.
Mm-hmm. You also lose
and then you
clues.
Keep going. You also lose the clues. Correct. That is stated in the first bullet. Each surviving investigator loses each of their clues.
So you cannot just bank them all from one depth level. You have to get them from each one.
Correct.
Okay.
That is the scenario. Get to depth level 5, and you're golden. I will also note, on the act, it does say if you are playing in campaign mode. Reason they added this is because it's a fun thing that a lot of people do, is in like a standalone mode, see how far they can go down, which is always a fun time.
I know that you've done this.
Indeed, yes.
You played
All right.
York, I think?
Yes, I played Yorick. We got to depth level 6, 7. I don't know, but we killed Yeg also, so that was fun.
Yeah, if you're building for it, you can definitely kill Yeg, who we'll look at in a second.
Yeah.
Let's just see what it's like. Let's see what these locations are like in this particular depth level.
Yeah, so we got the City of the Serpents, 3 shard, 1 per clues. While it has no clues on it, it's in the victory display. So we'll add Vengeance 2 to other cards that care about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a little tough to start this this depth level with this location, honestly.
All right, let's get the clues off.
And we'll explore. So is this one good? Nope. That one's good. We have the Caverns of Yoth. 1 shroud, 1 per clues. After it enters play, you put clues on it equal to its depth level. So in this case, just 1 extra 1. 1 shroud. I like this location. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and friendly.
I've sometimes gotten to this one when it's like depth level 4. It's still kind of nice, but if you're stuck there, because you have to clear all the clues off before you go, but it's nice. Everyone can contribute.
Definitely.
Get all the clues.
What's next?
Oh.
Hey, it's the Crumbling Precipice. Oh, God. 4 shroud, 0 clues. When you attempt to explore while at Crumbling Precipice, test Willpower 4. If you fail, test Agility 3. If you fail, test Combat 2. If you fail, you fall to your death and are killed. Yeah, I love this card. It's so cool.
Me too.
I love also because it tells its own story. It's like you didn't catch that you're on a cliff. You have to test willpower. You have to make sure you steel yourself to not fall over. Oh God, you're about to fall over. Are you agile enough to keep your ground? Oh no, you're falling over. Are you strong enough to keep your grip? Oh no, you fell off. It's
It's
so cool.
it's great. Have you ever gotten killed by this one?
No,
So sometimes you
but
just like don't take this test and you go back because you can go explore again from here, perhaps. But there's no
exactly.
clues here, so you could just take another action, pass one of those tests.
And hey, it's a step to Yoth.
There we go.
Real quick, let's read this. 3 shroud, 0 clues. Reaction when adding to the current depth level, which is when you are flipping the act over and you have 3 per clues. If investigators at Steps of Yoth possess 5 per clues, as a group, an investigator at the Steps of Yoth crosses off rope from their supplies. You add an additional resource to the current depth level. So this is a way to skip a depth level, or for example, going from 3 to 5 and winning the scenario.
Yep.
So to note, the reason that I mentioned that you do not spend the clues when you flip this over is because you ultimately only need 5 per clues to do the rope trick. You don't need 8 per clues. You don't need to spend 3 and then spend 5. Very, very important.
This is cool. I have definitely used it before. It's not necessary, I don't think, but if need be, you can do it.
Yep.
Do we have
All
enough
right.
clues in our little?
No.
No. So we can
Got-
explore from Depths of Yoth. Let's
yes.
explore again.
Yeah, it's the Halls of Heresy. Actually, can I check this? It is. It's over here. 4 shroud, 1 per clues. Oh god, we're getting all the vengeance ones.
Mm-hmm.
While an investigator is at Hall of Heresy, it's considered to be in the victor's play. Not if it has no clues. It's just if anyone is there.
So the nice thing here is that once we get our clues and go back, we're going to reset the map. So the vengeance does go away.
Yes.
Although you have to remind me, when you go to the last depth level, I think these are in play, right? So your
They
vengeance...
are not removed.
Yeah.
So in the last step level, when you win, anything in play will still be in the victor's display.
Well, that you probably don't have a choice on that one, and it probably
You
doesn't
don't.
matter so much either.
Yeah.
All right. So we go back and let's look at what our last one would have been if we wanted to keep going around, but we don't have to. Abandoned site.
X shroud, 1 per clues. X is the current death level. So a 1 shroud, very nice, but it will get harder as it goes. Up to a maximum of 4 if you're playing campaign.
Okay. So we just go, everyone gets to the Steps of Yoth. We advance at the end of the round, right? Yes, end of the round.
Yes, very important.
After upkeep, and after, importantly, hunters move and hit you.
Yes.
All right. So let's hit the setup button, and we'll just get these all back in. Uh-oh. Maybe it needs these around. There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
So this time we're starting with the bridge over in Akai. 2 shroud, 1 per clues. It gets +1 shroud for each vengeance point in the victor display. Hey, that would have been pretty bad on the last setup. Ultimately, though, it's 2 shroud. Pretty nice.
Yep.
All right, now I'm going to pull these out intentionally. Yeah, let's go to this. No, we've already done those. Okay, I'm pulling from the set aside ones.
The nice thing about this whole setup is that there always will be enough clues in order to progress. There's always going to be enough connections. You are never going to...
There are not going to be lone connections. It's always completely connected.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, let's go to this broken passage. 3 shroud, 0 clues. When you explore while at broken passage, you check your supplies. If you do not have a pickaxe, you place a doom on broken passage. That's another reason why I would always take pickaxe.
Mm-hmm. However, doom in this scenario is particularly important to keep track of because remember when you reset the map, the doom does go away. So sometimes this doesn't actually matter.
Yes, although I will say most of the agendas have very few doom thresholds, and so them sticking around on the locations can be bad if you can't advance fast enough.
Yep.
But that's a reason to just be like, go, go, go. We got to advance right now.
Very true.
All right, next we're gonna go to Bright Canyon. 2 shroud, 2 per clues. Forced after you enter Bright Canyon, if you are poisoned, take a damage. Hopefully, don't be poisoned. But as an action, if you have binoculars, discover 2 clues at Bright Canyon. Group limit once per depth level. I love this location.
Me too. It's
Yay.
great.
It's great. Again, more things for supplies that do good things. I wish that we had more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, and then I think the last one, yes, is Fork Path. Fork Path, 2-shot typical is forced. When you explore while at Fork Path, take your supplies. If you have a map, continue drawing cards from the exploration deck until you have drawn 2 connecting locations, if able. Put both of those locations into play and choose one to move to. That's so cool.
I like it. That's fun.
I've never actually done this.
I think I've done it a few times. It's neat.
Yeah,
It's just good to get 2 locations out at once.
totally. I think that's all of the locations.
Let's
If
put
I'm not mistaken.
let's put them all out so we can see how they connect.
Yeah, they can be a kind of a mess sometimes. So we're gonna try
I think
here.
importantly, it's nice to see which ones connect to the steps to Yoth. Just,
Yes,
I mean, if you play this one enough, you can kind of figure out, okay, I'm looking for, it's the like sideways equal sign, this one.
this one.
Yeah. And it is connecting to a lot of locations. So
Yes. Oh God. Oh God.
sorry.
Oh,
Some
maybe like that.
something like that.
Yeah, this one has a better way to do it. I think
Yeah.
it's still kind of a mess. You can't make a plane of crap out of it. So
No. But yeah, this is it. There's actually not that many locations, and just each time you go to the next depth level, though, you're going to get a slightly different arrangement. So it's 4 plus the steps of Yoth, right?
correct.
Yeah. So you might actually go through 4 times and not see one of them, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah,
you also kind of learn a little bit about the exploration deck by going through multiple times. I like that a lot.
totally.
All right, maybe we talk about the agendas because they will refer to the pursuit area as well.
Indeed. So our first agenda. What happens on the backside? Find the enemy that is in pursuit with the highest evade value. Spawn it at the location where the investigators began at this step level. So remember, the pursuit area is where the enemies go when you advance the act. Therefore, the agenda will basically be spawning additional enemies if they are there.
Mm-hmm. So a few things about the pursuit area. When enemies go there, they keep all tokens and attachments,
Including damage.
including damage and anything else like, I don't know, handcuffs, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Next. So same thing, highest pursuit value. Hey, if an investigator has a canteen, you can collect a strange liquid. What does that do?
Well, not much.
Indeed. But it is something for a canteen
Yep.
if you want to do that. There's no downside, so
There's no downside.
yeah. All right. Agenda 3A, we got 4 Doom this time. I like how basically each of the agenda text is just like you're getting creeped out. You're getting more creeped out.
Mm-hmm.
There's like weird rumbling down there. You're really creeped out now. Anyway. Okay, another one spawns from the pursuit area, and we need to give someone choose someone as a scout. If they don't have rope, then they will have to test combat or agility 5 and suffer physical trauma if they fail.
Totally fine at this point in the campaign, in my opinion.
I agree. Basically, if you pass it, it's nice. But if you fail, it's like physical trauma for it doesn't even do you damage right now. So it's
Mhm.
it's one more in the next scenario.
Yeah. Unless you're Calvin, and this kills
Unless
you
you're
right away. It could.
Oh God.
So this
That
is
is
the
true.
first agenda usually that I'm at.
Yeah,
So I usually
pretty
have
much.
to flip this on it right away, and then the first 2 tend to get skipped because I usually have between like 11, 14, sometimes one before that.
Yeah, so agenda 3A is 11 to 14. Yeah, it's definitely between it's either 2A or 3A for me, for
Mhm.
sure. All right, City of Blood, 4 Doom Threshold. If the Harbinger of Illusion is set aside, you move it to the pursuit area. Obviously, if you started at Agenda 5, it will already be in the pursuit area.
Mhm.
And then you also spawn the thing with the highest evade value, which could be the Harbinger.
Mhm.
Next, Fury that checks the earth. We have something on the text on the front side this time. After the third Doom is placed in this agenda, find the enemy that is in pursuit with the highest evade value and spawn it at where the investigators began. So it's like an extra one this time. Only up to 3. Next, we spawn another one for the pursuit value, and then we set Yig into the pursuit.
Nope.
Sorry, you spawned Yig. My bad.
Yep.
That's actually very important because if you actually begin at 6, you just put Yig into the pursuit area, correct? As opposed to spawning him immediately,
Interesting.
albeit the literally the first turn you're gonna spawn him immediately anyway.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think
So maybe they give
so.
you basically one turn to get away from the first location.
Correct.
Okay. So yes, you spawn Yig.
Oh God. Do you want to look at Jaeger?
I do.
All right. Boom. 4/6/4. It is elite. It's an ancient one. Hunter. Massive. Of course. Yig gets +6 per investigator health. So in 4-player, that is 30 health.
Ooh.
It cannot be damaged while there is another ready serpent enemy at its location. That sucks. That's honestly the stuff that sucks the most about
Yep.
Yig.
That is very tough.
Yes. Lastly, each other serpent enemy at Yig's location gains alert and retaliate. Jesus Christ. He deals 3 damage and 3 horror, and victory 5.
You know what Yig really likes?
What is he like?
Turkeys.
Oh yeah.
Cunning distraction was what I'm referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. Just evade everyone, and then no one is a ready serpent enemy, and you can just go to town.
There you go. Yes. That's Yig.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's gonna spawn at Agenda 6. Also, if that wasn't even enough, in Agenda 6, every single doom that is placed on the agenda, you add another enemy from the pursuit area. Jesus. A lot of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Add another enemy from the pursuit area. And you keep the same effect from the front of this card. After any amount of doom, you add something from the pursuit area. Finally, we have an agenda with no doom threshold. What the fuck?
You never should have come here.
You never should have come here. So, at the end of the check doom threshold step of the Mythos phase, so that is the one right after placing doom on this agenda,
Mm-hmm.
the investigators must draw one additional encounter card for each doom in play in player order. So, you're already this is how it works. Mythos phase. Add a doom, check doom threshold. The investigators draw an additional encounter card for each doom in play. So, actually, when it says additional, do they mean in the draw encounter card step? I actually never really thought about that. Or is it you just draw it now?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going to assume additional means it's during the encounter card step. You're basically drawing extra cards for every doom in play. So normally each person draws 1 card. If you are in 2-player, for example, and there's 3 doom in play, you're going to draw a total of 5 cards. The lead investigator, then the next person, then lead investigator, next person, lead investigator. I believe that is the case.
Yes, that is right. So it's not that you each draw an extra one, it's the entirety of the investigators draw the number of doom that's in play.
Correct.
Which is
As a
tough
note,
because this also isn't just doom on the agenda, it's doom on locations, doom on your own player cards.
Yep. Yeah. That's I mean, if you're at this point, it's trying to kill you.
Yep.
So yeah. There's no doom threshold, but it will catch up.
Mm-hmm. And if you're defeated, you advance.
Indeed. Hey, you go to R1.
Yay!
That's a resolution. Yay. Which is also the same. No, that's not.
No, that comes from
It's also.
So
okay.
Let's talk about Yig real quick.
Yeah.
So, have you ever killed him outside of the standalone challenge?
No. However, I have killed the Harbinger of Valusia in this scenario. I believe it was actually on the channel, the return to, because it started in the pursuit area and then spawned.
You kind of had to.
I kind of had to, yeah. I think I got to death level 4, which was actually pretty impressive for myself. It's either 3 or 4 actually. But I don't think I was able to kill Yig. Again, victory 5. It's victory 5, but you also only have one more scenario, so it's like it's not even that big of a deal.
No, but it's a fun challenge. I've done
it is a fun challenge. Yeah.
Honestly, I think the thing that keeps this from happening more often is twofold. One, that he spawns not in the location where you are most of the time.
Yes.
So going back and then also evading other serpents and then attacking him can get a little dicey.
Yep, indeed.
And then 2, just that text there that you basically have to have already removed the Harbinger of Valusia from play.
Yeah.
that's what then it becomes doable. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's tough.
agreed.
But it is fun to do. It really is.
It is fun to do, indeed. Um,
Resolution.
sure. So, if we were successful, I'll skip straight to that. We go to R2. The Nexus is near. Record stuff for the Harbinger. Still have the Xfury. You're still counting the Xfury, even though even if he's dead. It's hilarious. You get Victory X and one additional experience for the current depth level. So if you got to depth level 5, you earn 5 additional experience, which is awesome. You can technically get 6 from this, I believe.
The rope.
The rope, you can get 6, which is actually really cool. I've never done that, but it's fun. Cool. However, if you did not, aka everyone died, or if you got to the end of Agenda 1, it's actually okay, depending on how far you got. So, the investigators fell into the depths. If the depth level is 1, everyone dies, and the investigators lose the campaign, because that is a very tall fall, as it were.
It's a poor showing as well.
Indeed. If you got to depth level 2, each investigator suffers 2 physical trauma and adds a injury weakness, random basic injury weakness, to their deck. If this trauma causes all investigators to be killed, the investigators lose campaign. Wow, I've never read that text. 2 is also kind of a poor story.
What if you don't have a basic injury weakness in your card pool?
I guess you get to skip that.
Yay, because they're only in Edge of the Earth and Dunnage?
Yeah, for internal injury, right? There must be a few more. Surely there are more.
I don't think so. We'll look later.
Yeah. Okay, if you got to 3, everyone gets a physical trauma. Honestly, not that bad if you died. Albeit, if you died, you may be getting another trauma, basically. If you got to 4, you suffer no ill effects. Obviously, that's not nothing more, because having the investigators fell into the depths is slightly worse than having it near. But it is all right. Same stuff, and we go to the interlude.
And you get a trauma first for being defeated, right? So, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Unless you got defeated in another way.
That's true. You played Ghastly Revelation. No, you get trauma for that anyway.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
All right. The encounter sets are worth talking about. Is there anything else I'm missing from here?
I don't think so. There was. Oh, I don't. Yeah, this is weird. So we set aside Repossess the Past, right? How do we even get that? Oh, it's
in the interlude, I think.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Do you want to talk about it now, or we can do it later?
Nah, let's do the interlude now.
Okay. So if you fell into the depths, you go to. It's just some extra flavor. Actually, does that even matter? I forgot. Maybe it doesn't matter.
No.
No. Anyway, so first we need to check if you still have the relic. Okay, the investigators found the missing relic. You go to Arcane Thrumming, and here is the important bit. If the investigators recovered the missing relic, and if you are forging your own path, read Final Dawning. You will get Relic of Ages Repossess the Past. And that is the thing that is required for a certain thing in the next scenario. However, if you are not forging your own path, then you do nothing, basically. However, if the relic is missing, okay, you were not able to keep it after Threads of Fate, you add another token to the Chaos bag.
Or Chaka got it from you, right?
Correct. Or yes, thank you. If Chaka stole it from you at the beginning of the scenario, that is of course correct. You will get another minus something token. So on standard, it fills out the -4 slot. So you have to deal with being 4 up on a test now. Yeah. That's basically all of that. There is some other stuff. So if you have torches, you can record that the braziers are lit. Otherwise, the braziers remain unlit. Honestly, this is part of the reason why I always take torches, because it matters in the next scenario.
It also matters right now.
Yes, because if the braziers are lit and if anyone has a map, you will get 2 additional experience. I honestly, for me personally, I rarely do this just because I never really have a map, but obviously 2 experience is 2 experience.
It's also kind of weird at the end of the campaign. Like, we don't need it at this point.
Indeed.
In this campaign, There's so much experience if you've done reasonably well. If you haven't just died.
Yeah, definitely.
At this point, you could have, I don't know, 50, 60, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And then, you lose all your provisions and medicine because you don't need them anymore. and then we go to the next scenario.
So sad you bought too many.
No.
Okay. Pretty simple resolutions, all things considered. The meat of this scenario
Definitely.
really is the encounter cards and the location. So let's look at
Yep.
those.
Yeah, let's start with these enemies. So we got 3 copies of Pit Warden. So remember that if you had 0 EX Fury, these guys aren't in the deck, which is nice. However, they're most likely going to be in the deck. So they are 4 fight, 4 health, 1 evade. They spawn in the pursuit area unless Yig is in play. Then they spawn at Yig's location, and they have Hunter. What do you think about this card? Because most of the time, it's a dead draw, kind of, but they're going to spawn later. So, like, I'm like, kind of like, yay, I drew this now, kind of thing. I don't know.
It's interesting. It's part of the design, I assume, that you
Yeah.
draw it now, but then it'll spawn when you advance the agenda.
Yep.
I think the fact that they have Hunter kind of is part of that, right? Like you probably not at the location where they spawn, and then you have to deal with them because they're coming after you. Um, that's cool. I think it's a good part of the design. They're hard to
Yeah.
kill, and you don't really want to, so you have to go back and evade them or something.
And also, they're most likely going to be the ones that leave the pursuit area last because they have the lowest evade value. All of the agenda flips ask for the ones with the highest evade value.
Except for
Right,
this.
except for Serpent Sire, which
Yeah.
we'll look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like that it's kind of a delayed enemy.
Yeah.
This is not delayed.
No, Eater of the Depths, 5 fight, 6 health, X evade monster. When you spawn it, it puts a random set aside location into play, not from the exploration deck, mind you, from one of the set aside ones.
Mm-hmm.
So, like theoretically, it would add a location that maybe you're not even connected to at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But as you explore, you will find locations that are connected to it. Other than that, it's just a beefy 3/2 damage horror, and it has more evade the deeper you are.
I
And it's
love this
massive.
guy. This is one of my favorite enemies in the entire campaign because it's not elite, so you can do some fun things with it.
Yep,
But it is massive, so you can think about it, and that art is really creepy too. Like,
indeed. Yep. It's cool. And victory 2 is always nice.
I love it. Yeah, it gives your fighter something to, if you're not killing the vengeance point ones, you're like, okay, go kill that. All right.
All right, Children of Elusia. You put it into play next to the agenda deck. Each serpent enemy gets +1 fight and +1 evade. And at the end of the round, you discard 1 copy of Children of Elusia in case you have more than 1 out there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this card has done nothing.
I feel like I just have to remember it's there. I feel like I forget so much.
Yeah, like I feel like so often than not, this card comes out for me, and I'm like, oh, we didn't actually draw an enemy yet,
Mm-hmm.
or like they're all in the pursuit area. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, you're right.
nice.
I think
Yeah,
on 4 player it maybe hits more often.
yeah, agreed.
Anyway, 3 copies of Bathophobia, which
Scared of baths.
scared of bats.
Scared of bats. Um, it's a Ronnie Remains esque. You get 1 willpower base plus X difficulty, where X is the current death level. So starting out with 2, basically, and up to potentially 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you fail, take 2 horror. Thank you for not having that scale based on how much you failed by.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think these are kind of okay.
Yep, these are good design. There's one that is agility. It's same idea.
Yes.
Edge of the Earth has this in the last 2 scenarios as well, where it's like the how far you
Oh
are
yeah.
away. Yeah, it's good. I like these.
Yep. I like these too.
Plus, I feel like 2 damage or 2 horror is the sweet spot. 3 from Rotting Remains is awful. I
Yes.
think 2 at a time you can usually cancel that, and it's not that big of a deal. Like you need to, for most investigators who have like 6 of their lower number, you need to fail this like 3 times.
Yep. All
All right.
right. Serpent's Ire. So if there are no serpent enemies in pursuit, it gains surge. Otherwise, you find the serpent enemy in pursuit with the highest fight value. Very important there. Spawn it engaged with you. So this can be an enemy. Then you test agility X, where X is that enemy's fight value. If you fail, it immediately attacks you. That can be bad. But it is only serpent enemies, so it's only these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy has 4 fight, so it'll be tough to pass that.
Why does this say if an enemy is spawned by this effect? Like, why wouldn't it?
Because if there are, good question. How would
Okay.
it not spawn? Maybe Luke Robinson?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh
Okay.
God, what would even happen then? Would it just get discarded?
So it wouldn't get Surge, and it would just get discarded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
weird.
There you go. That's the answer.
Yeah. That's all the new cards. We got
All the
our
old ones.
familiar Broods of Yig. Care about the Vengeance and the Victor display. Um, Curse of Yig. This card can kill you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Fang of Yig got some more poison stuff.
I feel like
Uh,
Fang of Yig is actually way easier in this scenario because you're more likely to leave them behind and then they just leave play.
Agreed. Yep. Snake Scourge can be bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you can't do anything to their items, it's pretty bad and to kill things. And just draw 2 cards for this one.
Yep. This, Lost in the Wilds, very
Yeah,
tough.
this is tough. Um, yeah, especially when you have so many enemies like chasing you around. You're like, I'll be okay if I just explore here. We'll get the depths of Yoth. Oh God, I hit this. Oh God, I take 3 horror. Oh God, I'm dying right now. Um,
Right, right.
yep.
So remind me, was this in the encounter sets for Harder Elders Part B?
Part not part B, but for part A, I think, right?
Okay, so like I think this is a much harder combo with the you can't explore unless
Yes.
there are no
Agreed.
clues. Yeah.
Agreed.
Hmm. Um, yeah. And then we've got low on supplies, which is I don't know, we've seen it before. Like a lot of these are a combination of all the sets that we saw in previous scenarios, which I think is a nice culmination of everything that's happened so far in this campaign. I made a
Definitely.
comment last time about City of Archives being totally new things that are unrelated to ways that you've had to deal with the campaign. All of this stuff, even the new things, are kind of a riff on the challenges you've already been preparing for. So even Deep Dark, I think, is kind of annoying, but still, you should have some way of dealing with this.
Absolutely.
Again, another shout out for the Doom one. You can rig this so that you just get rid of the Doom. It's not that big of a deal. It's a little different than the previous time we saw it, where the Doom, of course, stays in play, even though the agenda uh, was really big on the Doom threshold. This time, it can advance early, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Same thing with
Definitely.
the Ancestral Fear.
Yeah. Once again, usually just place your Doom and then tell everyone to go, go, go,
Mm-hmm.
advance to the next part so that the Doom can be cleared off.
Yeah, don't take vengeance from this one. Please don't. It makes these
Yeah.
enemies really hard to deal with, I
It makes
think.
it really tough.
Yep. And poison.
And poison.
Pretty simple. But actually
Yeah.
all these pieces, because they kind of tell the same story, run away, get clues. The Explore deck isn't out to get you this time, really.
Yep.
It makes for a really enjoyable. It's a tight scenario. It's not. I wouldn't say it's like super easy or anything, but it usually requires you to just sort of work well as a team and push through.
Yep. Tokens.
Yeah.
Skulls are minus X. X is the current depth level. Obviously, it's going to get worse and worse,
Hmm.
but start off not so bad. Cultist and the tablets both are just reveal another token effects. So for the cultist, if you fail, each serpent enemy at your location or connecting the location heals 2 damage. Um, so I guess this is the way to get damage off the Harbinger of Lucia.
Ooh.
Um, I never even thought of that. Um, I feel like this rarely happens to me, at least, just because I try to kill things immediately. Obviously, it can ruin your plans if you are battling Yig over several turns, for example.
Yeah.
But the tokens themselves don't do anything. They just add a rider to the fail effect. So maybe not so bad.
The tablet one is actually pretty soft because sometimes you won't actually need to explore off that location.
Yes,
And
agreed.
sometimes it just gives you extra clues so you don't need to explore to other locations.
Yep.
Because really, there's no point in clearing off locations until you get to the right number of clues, and then you just need to get to Sept of Yoth.
Yep. All right. Lastly, we got the Elder Things, which are -2. If there are 3 or more Vengeance points in the victor's play, you auto fail instead. So hopefully, don't get up to 3.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, so we had Ancestral Fear. We had these guys, the Pit Wardens, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's all of the encounter cards that can give you vengeance. It is the other locations, for example, the City of Serpents and being in the Hall of Heresy, that can also give you vengeance. So just be watchful of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and the Harbinger. If you kill the Harbinger,
That's true.
they have five.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
All right. Anything else to say? Like I said, it's a very enjoyable scenario. One of the
Indeed,
best.
and yep, enjoyable and straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we will talk about this again with some ratings. We start off as always with replayability, and I think this one is really replayable. In fact, it's part of the gimmick again where you are replaying each depth level. I don't think it gets stale.
I agree. I'm going to give it a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is definitely a testament. If this scenario is very good for testing decks, at least for me personally, and I never as you've already alluded, like there are so many fun things you can do, even in standalone, about how far you can get. Um, and I think that even in campaign mode, like there is so much you can do. There's so much variability with the locations that you get, the the 10 choose 4 locations that you have, as well as how many Yigsphere you have determines the starting agenda, meaning that it determines the amount of pressure that you already have, which is awesome because it depends on the choices you've already made.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's excellent.
So you've
Replayable.
actually done this where you've started on agenda, what, like 5 or 6?
Yes, I started on agenda 5, I think.
So was that
And
just I want to see what happens, or you just sort of fell into it?
no, that was a I blew up the temple moment.
Okay. So I mean, it's still playable, right? So
Yes.
there you go. I think I'll give it a 5 as well. Let's move on to the next one, which is fairness. I think this is a very fair scenario.
I agree. There is so much that the players can do. Yes, there are the randomness when it comes to the locations in the exploration deck, but there's so many choices you make about, oh, we drew this crumbling precipice. Do we want to take the risk of exploring here, or you can double back, see if you can explore somewhere else? The doom on locations where you can choose to press on and try and risk advancing the act before the agenda does to actually get over the doom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, there's just so many really really cool things and really cool decisions to do.
So
I'm also going to give it a 5.
the only thing that happens sometimes is you draw the crumbling precipice as your initial location.
That is true.
But honestly, it's 3 different tests. You only need to pass one,
Yeah.
otherwise you're killed. And if you have something between 40 and 50 XP in your decks by this point, which you probably do, you have one. You've got a way to not auto fail to pass if you're not auto failing on all 3, right?
Yes.
And even if you are, like, I don't know, bring you catastrophe or Father Mateo. I don't know. I've never had that be a problem. I have run into the situation where you have to pass the test and everyone's biting their nails and then you just pass the first one and you're like, okay, that was it.
Yep.
Kind of have a similar thing for this one.
Yeah, I really think that this scenario is actually very well balanced. I think that the scenario ultimately is get clues and move on and fight monsters. And I think that the way that they do it is based on the fact that the entire campaign, as you said, has prepped you for this scenario. All of the stuff that we've seen in the encounter deck is things you've dealt before, and so this is ultimately just a test of how well you've been doing during the campaign. Um, yeah,
Which is great.
Yeah, it is great. Well, I want to see what you give this first before
Okay.
I go.
I mean, it's really that last point that I feel like it's balanced. I think I would give it a different rating perhaps if it were the very first scenario or
Yeah,
something like it was. But the fact that at this point to avoid some of the vengeance pitfalls. However, even if you kill the pit wardens early, you can get through.
definitely.
And the consequences are not so dire. Can you get clues in different ways? Yes. Like the only thing that I think hits investigator teams a little bit is if one, maybe like the deep dark, I suppose, like you can't just have one person getting every clue off of locations. It really
Right.
encourages you to split things up a little
Yeah.
bit.
But again, that was already a thing in Heart of the Elders Part 2, since we've already seen that.
Yep.
And so I think again, it literally preps you. I'm also going to give it a 5.
Yeah. I just feel like there's nothing new here that you shouldn't already be able to do, especially with the amount of XP in your decks.
Yep.
All right.
Am I going to do it?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it at a 5.
Yeah. So the fiction
That's crazy.
here is amazing, right? Like
Yes.
you are running away from this parade of snakes.
Yeah, and you're descending down into towards Yoth, and so the things that increase their difficulty based on how far you are down is so flavorful. Literally every time I see the crawling precipice, I'm like, yes, this is such a cool card. I love the Yig's Fury telling you how far down the agenda you're starting. All of the supplies in this scenario are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that the rope works and the binoculars and the map. It's just like a flavor win for so many things.
The only thing that I think the locations, there's the 2 vengeance locations. I don't really know why those locations are giving vengeance. I know it's like one of the City of Serpents, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. I guess you're kind of among the snakes. Halp Heresy. I don't know. There's no extra story there like there is the one with the pickaxe, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
That's a nitpick, man. This is such a
Yeah.
good scenario for all the little things that you can do as well. And I don't think it's like the hardest scenario. I like challenging scenarios, but it actually gives you an extra challenge. If you want to stick around and kill Yig, you should do it.
Yep. Totally.
So the fighter who's been complaining the whole the whole campaign about not killing something big, there's 2 big enemies here, and maybe even a third with the eater from the depths.
Oh yes, let's leave it for the depths.
Or the harbinger, I guess, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's plenty for everyone to do and have a fun time doing it. All right. That's
the first time we've done a full sweep.
I mean, what else could they have done? Like, I mean,
so we're about to talk to the return to, right? And I think that the testament to how good the scenario is that the return to literally added 1 card.
1 card. It'll be the quickest return to discussion we'll ever have.
Indeed.
Okay, we'll do that now. Okay, we told you there's 1 new card.
1 new card. Perils of Yoth. So this is going to be, if I remind myself, shuffled into the exploration deck. It is the only treachery in the exploration deck, and whenever you reset the exploration deck after advancing the act, you reshuffle it into the exploration deck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Perils of Yoth. Hey, it has peril on it. Perfect.
Okay.
Revelation. You must either set it aside out of play, aka you failed the exploration. Okay, you wasted your action. That's okay. Nothing bad happened to you, so that's good. Or you set it aside out of play, and you take horror or damage equal to the current depth level. And then you continue exploring, as if you had not drawn Perils of Yoth. I like this card. It's also cool.
I think it's a good addition. I don't think it's particularly scary, right?
Yep.
Either, I mean, it may come to the point where you don't want to take 4 damage or 4 horror, right. but maybe.
But then you just fail the then you just fail the exploration.
You lose the action. Okay, big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
It only happens once, right? So you set it aside. It doesn't go back in for that depth level. So,
correct.
That's it.
Yes, and again, so what I really like about this card is it serves the same purpose to the certain extent that the auto fail does in the chaos bag. It means that you can never 100% be assured that you're going to succeed the exploration deck. If you fail, it's still fine. You just lose an action. But in those real tense situations near the end of the scenario where like things need to literally go perfect, this one presents the interesting choice of, are you willing to give up that 1 action that you spent in order to not take that much damage or horror? I think it adds a really cool mental effect or psychological effect to the exploration deck.
I agree. Well said. And that's it. There's just the other version of the Harbinger of Elysia. This matters only for the, matters in general, but it matters for the Serpent's Ire, right?
It matters for the Serpent's Ire as well as, of course, the agenda decks that are checking the highest evade value, because if there's enough damage on him, then he might only be at 2 evade, which is less than the other ones that have
Mhm.
3 evade
Yep.
sometimes.
The other
Yep.
part I think maybe worth saying is that the Fang of Yigs are no longer Fang of Yigs. They are the Vengeful Serpents.
Correct. They're down
They're
here.
down here. Okay.
So these are the return 2 cards. So yeah, no more Fang of Yigs. We have the 3 Vengeful Serpents, which are really flavorful in this scenario, I think, because
Mm.
obviously you can kill them,
Yeah.
but they can come back and also still be in pursuit and then come back and you have to kill them again. It's cool.
And since there's 3 of them, if you do get rid of all 3, it does thin the encounter deck out a little bit, which is interesting.
Yes.
All right, everything else
And then
we've
we have the
seen.
Serpent Guardian.
Oh, Actually, this guy's
Yeah.
kind of interesting in this scenario.
Yeah, so he's going to spawn a location that you he it's harder to
Investigate, basically.
investigate a
It's
location. Yeah.
kind of an obscuring fog in this scenario, which we didn't
Right.
have before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Even getting poisoned in this scenario is not the worst.
Yeah. That's true.
I don't think we checked for medicine again.
We do not. Yeah. So you'll be poisoned until the end of the game.
Yeah.
Campaign.
And this is also kind of interesting to have best laid plans because now we actually can get things into the encounter deck.
Yes.
Sorry, into the exploration deck from the
Oh,
encounter deck.
yes. Yes. I think I honestly take the 2 actions more often than not. But yeah, this is a way to get cards in the encounter deck. The only way, I believe.
Yeah. The Resentful Wilds, you might get more vengeance, I think, with the return 2 sets.
Yeah.
You might have to do this.
Yeah.
I think in the other times it's showed up, you could kind of get around it for the most part, but
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
okay. I like this as another spin on this scenario.
Yeah, it's an interesting spin. Again, it makes the exploration deck a little bit riskier.
Mhm.
But that just means that it's and again, this is the thing where it's harder as the scenario goes on, but it kind of makes sense in this scenario specifically that it should be harder as the scenario goes on.
It should be. Yep.
So yeah. Last thing I wanted to mention was that there is a note in here for the Depths of Yoth in the return to, meaning that hey, if you have the sticky goop, which is from Heart of the Elders part A which wait, where do we get the sticky goop?
I think it might have been B.
Might have been B. You're right. Yes, it was one of the locations.
Yeah.
You get the sticky goop. And then, that's right, the one location that was a 50-50, if you can get it or not. And then if we collected the strange liquid from this scenario, you dissolve the viscous substance and you get the key of Estley. What does that do?
I guess we'll have to find out by playing another scenario.
Indeed.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Weird.
that's the only changes.
Yeah, it's just we mentioned this I think when we talked a few weeks ago. This is in this resolution, but of course it's on the back of the agenda deck or agenda card. So we kind of wondered, like, since it does nothing in the base game, why is it there?
Right. Yeah, again, it was like they thought of this ahead. I don't know.
If you buy the expansion pack to this expansion pack,
Yeah.
that'll actually do something.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good time. If you haven't,
Yeah.
if you don't like this scenario, then you probably don't like Arkham very much.
Maybe. Or you're just like screw Yig.
Yeah,
Too big. I don't know.
it's a great scenario. It's fun.
Yes.
I don't think it wears out its welcome. Playing it over and over again, even so, give it a shot. Try the standalone mode. See how far you can get. It's a good time.
Totally.
All right, that's it for now. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.